local celebrities, even though they don't believe they're local celebrities. We have the Birchalls in here. And, I've known you guys for years and years, but you guys have an amazing Celebrate America coming up on Monday. And tell us a little bit about it. I'm going to start ladies first because you're obviously much more attractive than your handsome husband. But tell us about Celebrate America and what that is and how it's connected with Veterans Day.
Well, this is something that we started doing about 16 years ago at Trinity Episcopal and felt that it was perfect to honor our veterans and to put into the celebration of the days something about the history of Veterans Day and about the songs that we sing and the things that go on during the time. So we have this, really, it's a gala thing that we do. So everyone comes into the sanctuary, and we have a lot of music, and we have a wonderful person, Carolyn De Palma, who has researched all of the patriotic songs that we sing, many of them written by Episcopal ministers, which I thought was very interesting. Okay. And we have brass ensembles that play and singers, and then we all sing, and then we have the veterans who get up, and we have each one of them in attendance who wants to says their name and what branch they served in. And then we sing all the songs for the different branches, and then we all go out and have root beer floats. So in a nutshell, that's the program.
You had me at root beer float. Yes. All right, now I'm going to throw it over to the handsome man directly across from you. I need him to give his name and rank and branch. If
you can do that, he'd be happy to.
Do you think he has that ability? He is wearing a Gator shirt, so it's been a rough year for Gators. So I don't want to catch him too far off guard. So, sir, can you please give us your branch and name and all the fancy stuff you got to give?
I will do that, Troy. But first, I want to ensure that the program is at Trinity Episcopal or Trinity Parish, downtown St. Augustine, right on the plaza, right across from the plaza.
And there is parking behind, but it is limited.
It is limited,
so and get there early.
The church has been packed for 15 years. So, anyway, I retired from the Army after 30 years. Final rank was lieutenant colonel. I served, was commissioned infantry, but transitioned as soon as possible into the Special Forces branch. So I was a Green Beret for 23 years.
So, and, obviously 30 years in, and so Vietnam was...
Well, I was actually drafted in 1967.
Okay. That's a wonderful year, by the way. So,
was that when you were born?
I don't know if I was born or not. That's
when we were married. That's another wonderful year. Yes,
it's a wonderful year.
It's a wonderful year.
Mm-hmm. So you were drafted in 66.
I was drafted after failing 2 physicals. Nancy and I was playing baseball.
Yes, sure.
And so we were married in August of 1967, August 5th to be exact. And about a week after we were married, I got another letter from my draft board, Great Neck, New York, Long Island, saying, we want to check you out one more time before we throw you out. I sure passed that sucker.
You passed that one.
And so that would, when you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans. Well, he had a whole different plan. So. Yeah. So the rest is history. I did stay in. I do have some reserve time, but I got to participate in all the major events for 30 years.
Gotcha. Now, and I was going to get to this story, but you kind of took me to it. So you were playing baseball when you were drafted. Had you already finished your baseball career, or was you were still?
Oh no, I was on the Houston Astros roster.
Yeah, so I was going to say you were still on an active roster when this took place.
Yes, sir.
So were they the Colt 40?
No, they were the Astros.
There was Astros by them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but
that's what I asked. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think because us baseball guys, because it makes a big difference whether they're Colt 45s or not.
I remember the Colt.
I think they won like 8 games.
I remember the Colt 45s. I really do.
Yeah. I think the only team
that
lost.
Went to the Mets, right?
The only team that lost more, I think, is the 60s.
62 Mets.
62 Mets, and
some
then
62 team that wore blue and orange. You guys,
Gator colors.
you guys know you're stuck in the blue and orange, aren't you?
Yeah,
I told you.
yeah.
That's what I said when I moved down here. I couldn't believe how many Mets fans were all over the place because every house was covered in orange and blue. And I said, that's great. It took me 3 weeks to realize they were talking about the Florida Gators, and I was so confused.
I thought they were talking about the Dodgers and the Giants. That's how they got the colors. So.
I know, but
With Florida's in baseball, Ron has an interesting story there too, because when he played baseball at the University of Florida, that baseball team was the first University of Florida team to be ranked #1 in the United States.
All right. So
That was 1962.
And that was 1962.
So some blue and orange was winning in '62. It just wasn't
Right.
the Mets.
right.
It just wasn't the Mets. So this started, you said, 16 years ago, I believe,
Yes.
is what you said. Now you have Father Matt, who is probably one of the most engaging human beings I've ever met.
Absolutely.
And is this the church that you guys attend?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
So
We
Father
were
Matt-
married here, and I was baptized here
at Trinity.
at Trinity.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
I am now one of the oldest living members of Trinity.
28.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know what you're doing with this old
Yeah.
guy. But Father Matt, how incredible is his survival story,
Yes.
and how wonderful is his heart. And I feel like you guys are so fortunate having a man like this to lead your church in so many ways. Tell me about the relationship with Father Matt. I see also on the program Carlos Avalis. These two guys are just forces in the city along with you guys. I met you through the Prevention Council.
Yes,
I think
few
you were
years
doing
ago.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
weeks back. It was
Students
what-
working against tobacco.
yeah, students working and
Good thing.
you did some amazing stuff there. But Colonel, how is it that you can, hang with these guys and every day? I mean, it kind of makes this program to me live.
Well, Father Matt is we are truly blessed to have him, number one. We also have two other priests that are outstanding also. As you know, we have expanded to the North Campus, so we actually have two campuses now. So we have Father Kurt and Father Caleb to support Father Matt. But as you said, Father Matt is an inspiration. His tragic experience has touched many people's lives, and really has gone a long way in strengthening their faith in Jesus Christ and the Christian community.
Yeah, I mean he's a survivor story, but I think the story that is the one that stands close to my heart is the forgiveness story.
Yes.
Of where he's at, and I mean that was almost immediate with him. I don't know if you guys caught the interview we did, but he was completely open with the story. I know he shared it with his congregation. And Amanda, who's our morning show host, is also a member
we know
of your
Amanda's
church.
a good friend.
Yeah, she's also a member of your church. But his story of forgiveness is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So just, and it sounds like he's the one who's leading this program. So not only do the root beer floats come into play, but it sounds like just a wonderful time of sharing. But Carlos Avalis, brag a little bit about Chief.
Oh, I can. Yeah, Carlos is a great friend, and gosh, we've known each other for years and years. And of course, as the
He's the fire
city
chief.
fire chief,
Anybody
city
who
fire
might not
chief.
know.
Right now, he's kind of fragged because of Nights of Lights and everything else. So they got him going backwards and forwards. But as you know, Carlos is a veteran, and I believe he was in Afghanistan and Iraq.
He served a couple times.
Absolutely. In fact, he just really recently retired. I was going to say within the year, or maybe year and a half that he has retired. But still very active in military circles. Supports us, and of course our dear friend Bill Dudley and everything we have going on. So we're just delighted. We had asked Carlos a couple years ago to join this group, and he certainly accepted and was delighted to do it. So we're kind of programming him for the future.
No, and he was a very young chief. When I remember when he became chief, and I really didn't know Carlos that well, and then almost immediately is when Matthew hit. I think he was maybe there like maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
He had Matthew, and then he had Irma, and then we had,
devastating storms.
A baptism by fire for a young chief. But I can't imagine anyone else being in charge of the situation that was happening. And I mean, you guys know how Davis Shores got hit, and Carlos was there with the residents there every day. So I mean, he really sold himself to the community.
He's outstanding,
and just not just as a chief, but as a human being. So, and like I said, I'm going down your list here, and like you got two of the top-notch human beings in there. So 16 years ago, were you two just sitting around and going, you know what, we need to put together Celebrate America? What was the
thing that got us going?
The motivation, the spark.
You want to take that?
That took place.
Well, we put it on the back of our program that we hand out. There was a couple that used they come from Maine. From Maine?
Corning, New York.
Corning, New York had moved down here.
Yep.
And they had
Coast
this
Guard.
idea, Marty and Julie Mariner. They were just wonderful. And we have to give Marty and Julie the credit. They got this idea one day, and then they asked us, knowing Mom was a veteran, to help them with this. And so we became the first team that put on the first one. And then we've just done it ever since then. They have since moved back to Corning, and
I see where it
we've
says
just continued it.
a special thanks to our founders.
Yes.
Right.
So
we'd like them to know that we're still thinking about them, and we give them the credit for this. And I wanted to say one of the things about this program is this is a really wonderful place to bring children. Because if we are going to want our children and our grandchildren to be patriotic and to learn these songs and to feel that this is really important, this is a great thing to start them with. And then they get the root beer float afterwards. And, it's only 7 to 8. It's only an hour, so it's not a really long program. But I encourage people to come and bring neighbors, but especially bring grandchildren and children. And we have the Sea Cadets who
Sea Cadet
come
Battalion
every
will
year,
be
and
presenting the colors.
they present the colors, and we have our youth at the church helping us do this and so forth. So we really want youth participation. I'm all into youth things, but we really need to. If we want them to know about these things, we have to tell them.
We're really
let them
setting the
participate.
stage for the event on Veterans Day on the 11th at Anastasia, because with our theme, Pass the Torch, and I know Bill was here and
we talked about the
passing the torch, and that's so important. So we want to get as many youth involved in our programs, because I'm not sure they're getting it in their education. So we have to educate them, and so.
And then all the people that have been in the military, we invite up to the front to say, introduce themselves. And so some people get to meet other people that live here in town that maybe were then in their unit or were stationed where they were. And that's sort of a neat thing, too, to be able to maybe come away from that night with another veteran that maybe you had served with or that you could talk to about your service.
So we shared experiences.
Yes, some shared experiences.
Well, it's a close community.
Yeah.
And the military is a definite close community.
About 40 or
Especially in
50
St.
of
Augustine.
them.
Yeah.
So, and Colonel, you've been very active in the Veterans Council, American Legion, a lot of different military groups. This program, it's like you said, it's kind of I think I called it earlier, the preamble.
That's good. That's good. That works.
to what's happening actually on Veterans Day. As a veteran, Can you tell me, and I got an Air Force veteran in there and kind of jawing with you over here. He says he's met you several times when he was a therapist at Bayview, Bobby. But can you tell me what Veterans Day means to you as a veteran? And you put so much of your life into the branch of the military you're in. What does that day mean to you?
That's a great question. Well, I have been in most of the garden spots of the world. Of course, I'm being facetious. So I know, and I always want to communicate how blessed we are to live in this country. We have warts and pimples, but no, we are, the only words that I can really that I can really utter are that we are truly, truly blessed. So when I think of Veterans Day and especially all the men and women that I have been associated with over a 30-year career, many of which are no longer with us, there is a price to pay for what we have. But I never, ever want what we have here taken for granted, the freedoms that we enjoy here. So Veterans Day just brings that all to light, and it gives us a chance to share it.
And you guys have been on radio with me and Mike. I don't know if you actually were in our podcast at all. And Mike and I have had this conversation many times. We came out in the mid-'80s. There wasn't much of a fight going on. The Cold War, there was no draft at the time. And we both went to college. I was playing ball, and we never had the opportunity to serve just because the need wasn't there at the time of our, because timing's a lot of things. Like you getting drafted, that timing was there. But so appreciative of what veterans have done, because someone else did the fighting for us. And me and Mike talk about this all the time. Lenny, you and I have had this conversation. What we've been able to do with Veterans Village has been
wow, yes,
with Colonel Dudley and the team of Home Again, but it doesn't happen without people like yourselves. And I just want to say thank you, because I know you guys have given so much support from the church and from yourself individually to veterans. How do you recruit young veterans to pass that torch at this level? Because you're just slightly over your halfway point. How do you find?
I love you.
My math's really good, but you're slightly over that. So how do you recruit these veterans that are doing such an amazing job, like you and Colonel Dudley and Sergeant Major McDermott and all the guys that are so active? And that's one of the things we talk about at Home Again is Mike and I are getting older, and we have to find somebody. So when we bring in younger board members, we're saying, okay, here's what we're planning for you. Let's get ready.
That's a great question. And what we have focused on is our junior ROTC programs, first of all, in St. Johns County. We have 3 of them. And so we have invested time and money in building those programs, because they're outstanding programs. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And we can see there's definitely a transition since I've been back in St. Augustine, where the really, really good kids, good young men, I call them kids, young men and women, are part of the program. I mean, they've really grown their junior RC, and that's where the seed's planted, and some of that rubs off. As you know, we have some 23,000 veterans or so in St. Johns County, so we have a target-rich environment. And through, because I'm a life member of the VFW, of course, Military Officers Association of America, and the Veterans Council with the Legion, we have a pretty wide group of folks that we can draw from, and it rubs off. And I think our organization's where some organizations are not growing, I think we are.
Mhm.
And the challenge, of course, is getting the younger. I'm not going to say we've solved that problem, but we are getting younger people in the Military Officers Association. When I say young, they're recently retired,
They're
but they're
under
50.
they're under
50 is
50.
very young.
Those spring chickens.
So, and we're very grateful and fortunate to have them. So it's all about passing the torch. We got to start somewhere, but starting young is where we've focused our attention.
And the women. I think a great program for you is to have some of these girls who are in the junior ROTC program,
They're sharp.
because there are as many girls as there are boys.
Mhm.
And they are, a lot of them are the leaders of their groups at the schools. And they are really making such a huge difference. So it's interesting to hear what they have to say and why they decided to do this. And a lot of them are going off to the academies and representing St. Augustine. And that would be very interesting for a lot of listeners to hear why these girls are doing this. They're
I think
great.
you had
They're
a
great.
question.
Well, a couple of them. One, because what you're bringing up now, and it's important that these women are doing what they're doing and they're distinguishing themselves, because there seems to be a little bit of a shift now against women in the military. And I don't know if I know personally, I don't think that's such a good thing. And you've got capable, bright, strong women that are volunteering for this.
Yeah.
You know, there's no draft right now.
Right. That's
So
right.
these are people that are signing up to do their patriotic duty to protect America, and they should be given the full ability to do that to the best of their competency. And these are
Right.
competent people.
Yeah.
But the question that I wanted to ask you was, having lived through Vietnam and been in the service for 30 years, the way I look at it from the outside, because I was born in one of the 2 years that never had to sign up for selective service. I was
Sure.
born in 1958. So 58 and 59, there was no selective service. If you were born in 1960, sign your name.
Yeah.
So I was, I'll consider myself fortunate for that, because
Well,
Vietnam
you were a
was it.
tweener too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the Vietnam era, veterans were not looked on favorably. As a matter of fact, I think in a lot of places it was a bad bad conversation. People treated veterans horribly. I think over the course of time that's changed dramatically for the positive. I mean, we've had a lot of wars in the Middle East that we've sent soldiers over to, servicemen, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, and there's been a lot of life lost there, but I think there's been an appreciation for the country, that these are people that have given their life, their valor, their time for the country. And I think, correct me if I'm off base with this, but I think the appreciation has swung back to appreciating the veterans, the people that are in the military, the soldiers. It's no longer, it's no longer a bad thing to be in the military. As a matter of fact, it's a career for a lot of people. It's a great avenue for skill training, benefits, and a lifestyle that is positive in America. And as you say, patriotic, which is good, because we need more of that. So, I think that it's evolved in a very positive fashion, that veterans are now received so much more favorably than they were in 1975, for argument's sake.
Oh, well, absolutely. But people have become educated too, because there was so much misinformation about Vietnam. I mean, it was a black mark as far as our history was concerned. But unfortunately, it took years after the actual conflict where people actually understood what happened, and our we don't make we're instruments of policy. We don't determine policy. The military is an instrument.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think people have come to the realization that, hey, we missed that one. We understand now. So they've been educated.
And I think in retrospect, a lot of people have realized that they did blame the wrong individuals for that. The soldiers, the service member, you were a draftee. People
He
ended
didn't
up
have
there.
much choice.
Right. People ended up
You
there
go where you're
wanted
ordered.
to or not,
That's right.
unfortunately, and when
That's
they
right.
got
They didn't
back,
like being
vilified
there
for
either.
something that they had less control over. So I'm happy for the country that has changed. And again, the realization from that Vietnam era has shifted as well.
Yes, it has.
So that's
We had Oscar in
yeah.
a Vietnam vet last year at this time, actually, probably on about the same day as where we're at right now. And he talked about when he got back stateside, he was told you need to take off your uniform as soon as you land
Right.
and go into civilian clothes because of the way things were. Did you have a similar experience like that when you returned?
Oh gosh, yeah. We returned from, of course, remember, I did not go to Vietnam.
Oh, you didn't?
I was on orders to Vietnam,
Okay.
but those orders were rescinded, and they sent half our OCS class to the DMZ in Korea because the Pueblo had been captured.
Oh, okay.
Korea was hot.
Yeah.
Korea was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The zone was hot, so they wanted to stabilize South Korea.
But I don't think the general public even recognized, okay, whether you were there or not. That they
Yeah.
saw you
Yeah.
in uniform.
They saw- well, yeah.
Yeah, they saw you in uniform.
I remember.
This is that treatment.
Yeah. I remember coming back. We landed at not Travis. We were at McCord Air Force Base,
Okay.
and they told us the drill, and of course, we were coming back from that flight. We looked like combat veterans. I mean, we were tired, we were unkempt, and we just wanted to get home. And so once they turned us loose, we fended for ourselves. They got us to the civilian terminals, and people could tell.
Yeah.
I did not personally experience any true negative from.
Direct. You
No,
didn't.
I did not.
You saw what was happening in the
Yeah.
media, but it was.
And he came back to St. Augustine, and everybody was very nice
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't have any feeling that way, particularly that I know of.
Interesting story,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quickly. When I finally got a flight, there were no flights from SeaTac to St. Augustine.
Uh-huh.
So I said, I'll take the first plane going east. It's United Airlines. And when I landed, of course, I called Nancy and said, "You'll see me when I get home. I have no idea when that's going to be." So I did get on that flight. And again, looking as haggard as I did, the flight attendant came up to me and she said, "You're a veteran, and are you not?" I said, "Yeah, I just returned from Korea." And she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm trying to get to St. Augustine, Jacksonville, get to the Jacksonville airport." And the plane was headed to Chicago. And so she came back and said, "I want you to know that the pilot has communicated with Chicago, I think it was O'Hare, and they're holding a plane for you to get you to Atlanta. You got to go through Atlanta."
You got to get to Atlanta.
The same thing happened from the flight from Chicago to Atlanta. They held a plane for me, and I got home pretty close to midnight.
Yeah.
I remember I was standing there waiting for Nancy and her parents to come pick me up. That was special, and I'm
awesome.
eternally grateful for that.
Well, and those are the good stories we don't always hear about,
Right.
and that's wonderful that because all we see is the flag burnings and these things from that time period. But there was people that truly appreciated and did that for you. Now, Nancy, I'm going to shift over to you because a lot of times we don't get to talk to the wives of military people, like a lifer like himself. You're raising children. He's off all around. How much did you get to travel with him and explain that experience of, okay, and he's in special forces. So there's probably things he couldn't even tell you at certain times. What was it like living through that side of it? Because we don't get to hear the wives talk about it. We talked about these crusty guys all the time, but I mean we don't get to talk to the wives. What was that experience like for you?
Well, you really grow up.
Yeah.
You learn to do things that you never dreamed. I mean, for one thing, when we got married, this was not in the picture at all. I mean, I had no idea I was going to be married to anybody in the military.
You thought you had a baseball player.
Yeah, I mean,
which could have been worse, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it worked out for you.
So that was something, and we figured that we saw each other for 11 months out of the first 3 years we were married.
Okay.
So it is. You have to just decide this is what's happened to us, and we're going to make the best of it. And that generation of people did that. I mean, it didn't occur to me in the slightest that I should be angry or frustrated or mad or upset or a victim or anything. We my friends and I that had our husbands gone just said, "All right, let's see what we can do. Let's have fun. Let's get together. Let's what we got to do." And you just figured out how to do it, and you are proud of your husband for going. And I personally never felt he wasn't going to come back.
Okay, that's
that was one of the things. It never dawned on me that he was not going to come back and we would continue our life and be together. So that was good. And then I had the support of my parents, and I learned to be a mother by myself, which was good for later on because he ended up having a job where he was gone. Well, I was used to having him gone, so I knew all the ropes and knew how to do all the stuff and everything. But you have to have that commitment. But that's the thing to appreciate about a military family, because they really have a whole different life.
Well, and that's where I was trying to get at. It's not just it's not just the soldier; it's the soldier's family that's committed to this relationship with our country.
And you think about these little boys growing up without. We had all boys growing up without a father, and so they do miss that. Yeah. There is a lot that you give up to be in the military. But I will have to say that when we were together in the military, it was wonderful. And we enjoyed all the places that we had a chance to go. We enjoyed the friends. We still have people we call that were friends of ours in various different posts. You make the best of it, and you get the best from it. And that was, I'm really not your poor pitiful Pearl to be asking that question,
but you're the right
that was
woman to be with this man, and that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
So and Amanda just said hi to the Birchalls, so she just was in the comments and says hi to the Birchalls. All right, so your career started in '67 in the military. And
actually, I was drafted in '67, but actually raised my right hand in January of '68.
'68. So you said you had 30 years, so that took you into the '90s. Is that correct?
I retired out of Bosnia, and I was in Bosnia in 1996, almost the whole year. And we got out in I got home on 3 tours or 3 deployments. I got home the day before Christmas, so that was good. I only missed a couple Christmases, missed all the Thanksgivings, but Christmas was special. So. Yeah, we were really fortunate there.
Yeah.
But
so Desert Shield, is that the right one in '91?
Well, Desert Shield was, I'll never forget, it was August 30th when Iraq invaded Kuwait. And we deployed 2 days later with SOC. I was with SOCCENT, Special Operations Command Central, which is at MacDill.
Yeah, in Tampa.
Yeah, and so we're usually the first folks to deploy, and go into Saudi Arabia, which is where we were headquartered.
Okay, and you spent how long were you there for that?
Well, it was back and forth. It was I'd go over there for like 3 months at a time. Then we'd rotate back to our little bunker at MacDill Air Force Base, and then 3 months later go back. So it broke it up. But Desert Shield was interesting. It was a lot of anxiety because we didn't know what we were up against. We're talking about weapons of mass destruction and chemical warfare, of course, and so we practiced for all that. The actual war, Desert Storm, was 100 hours.
Yeah. The
actual war was 100 hours. So we never got to see. I never got to see any of the real action because we were in Dhahran. Dhahran is in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Next thing it started, and we actually launched the first ships in the aircraft. We were right on the airfield and so we got to do that, and then next thing you knew, it was over.
Yeah.
Tell them about where you lived in Bosnia.
Yeah, you're on the spot
Bosnia.
now.
Yeah, this
Bosnia.
You know
This
I'm not
is
going to
great.
go against Nancy on a question.
So, Ron, where did you live when you were in Bosnia?
this was his living arrangement, which I think is sort of interesting. So, so tell him about.
Well, Bosnia
about
was
that.
probably had more of an effect on me than any other tour because Yugoslavia when it broke up was not a third world country,
No.
but when we got to Bosnia, Sarajevo, the country was virtually destroyed.
Yeah, it was a civil war.
It was
a
gosh, I'd never experienced anything like that.
very, very violent
Right.
civil
Yeah.
war within after Tito passed.
And one of the locations. I mean, where we stayed was completely bombed out.
Mhm.
So I had an option. I had a great job. I was a director of civil military operations, which means I got to travel all over the theater and do briefings for NGOs and IGOs and trying to keep them out of harm's way because they were shooting at each other when we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity since my hours were crazy, and it's 24/7 ops. So and the job I had required I get 2 or 3 hours sleep in a row, and then somebody would wake me up and ask me a question. So I slept in you know what a Cormax is? It's a container.
It's a
Oh,
container.
you slept in a container.
I was in a container.
Okay.
And I had it all to myself, and it was right next to the primitive shower. But I mean, it was a shower, and we had hot water, and so I lived there, and
He had a cot
had
in
a
the
cot
in a
and a heater
container
because it
for
was
a year.
cold.
No windows.
But it was a
No
symbol.
windows,
Right.
no windows,
No roommates.
one
No
way in,
roommate,
one way
yeah.
out. But I get kidded about that a lot. But I had it much better than some of the other folks that had to stay in these bombed out hotels. In fact, the Olympics was in, I think it was 1984, where the Winter Olympics was in Sarajevo.
Yeah.
And in Alicia, they had the hotel where all the Olympians stayed. Well, that was bombed out. I mean, it had walls and it had doors,
But
there was, and there were 2 or 3 to a room. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed my my car.
his box.
Did you name your box? I would have had to name.
I didn't name it. No, I did not name it.
It's just me and Boxy here.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Tough to hang pictures there, however.
I thought that was interesting. That
Yeah,
he stayed
Nancy's
in his
picture on it,
box.
yeah.
But,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And Nancy, you and I
Yeah.
probably met in early '90s when we were doing the Children's
Yeah,
Council, and you were, like you said, you were a part of SWAT,
Mhm.
and you guys got a grant, and you decorated my vans for me at Parks and Rec. Do you remember doing that? You actually,
Yes,
you
I
actually-
did.
you
I
actually-
did.
And it was so cool because all the other Parks and Recs just have like the white vans or whatever color it is, and it was solid. But ours actually had really cool designs from SWAT and students working against
We were
tobacco.
able to do very clever things with the money that we had.
We were very creative, and I always appreciated that relationship. But talk a little bit about your career with SWAT and what you've done in the community, because we're talking about what the colonel's done, but it's equally important to be strong here at home. And some of the things you did in molding young minds made a huge difference in this community. So tell us a little bit about that part of your career and how you got involved in that.
Well, when I lived in Lakeland and I was a member of the Junior League, someone had come up with a program because drugs were rampant, and it was called Here's Looking at You 2000. And our Junior League adopted the program and sent some of us out to talk to 6th graders about drugs. So I went to the first program that they did to tell us about it, and I was horrified. I really didn't know all this was going on with everything. And I signed up to be one of the teachers. And so for several years, I taught Here's Looking at You 2000, which was the name of the program. This was in the 80s. And we went to all the 6th graders in Polk County, and we talked to them about the amphetamines and cocaine and it all. and decision making. So I had that background when I ended up moving to St. Augustine. And so when the health department had to hire somebody to be the tobacco prevention coordinator, I said, that sounds like something I could do because I've already done it once. And so I signed up for that. And the most beautiful thing about it was that every county had money, and the money was to be spent on what teenagers in your community say ought to be done to get the word out about the dangers of tobacco and what big tobacco is doing and doesn't care that they're doing and that sort of thing. So that's what I did. And so I surrounded myself with wonderful teenagers. And now Tim Giuliani, who was my first president of Students Working Against Tobacco, now his son is the age that Tim was whenever I first met Tim. He has a 15-year-old son. And so it's kind of, and he is now the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Orlando.
Oh, excellent.
And what is interesting too is we had thousands of students all over the state who were learning how to be advocates against something that was wrong, which was wonderful. And then a lot of these students grew up to work for the health department, or to learn to be advocates, or to run for public office. We gave them a voice. I mean, in fact, we ought to have another program now by the state that just gets students together to do the same thing because it helped the state so much.
Right.
Yep.
So that was my kickoff to doing things with students. So I worked with the Youth Leadership St. John's program for 26 years, just sort of retired from that with Kathy Minery. And then when we were doing the 450th, I said, we've got to do something with youth. So I formed the 450th Youth Ambassadors. And the students were 6th through 8th grade whenever they started. I had 40 of them said they wanted to do it. They stayed with me for 4 years to learn about St. Augustine. And they met once a week for 4 years. And that was fabulous. And then I did the youth and government with the YMCA, where we taught students how to write bills and to learn how to work with the legislature. Took them to Tallahassee, let them. So I've had more fun doing all these things.
How rewarding is it? And it's because I get to live it still in the same area that and you've been here the entire time while you were doing this too. How rewarding is it when one of those students comes up and just says thank you?
Oh yes,
Isn't
it's
it?
wonderful.
It's the coolest thing. It's just one of the coolest things.
But it taught me that a 12-year-old can make a huge impact on the world if they are taught the skills.
Yeah. And
we are. This is an untapped resource that we don't use as much as we could. I can go on and on about this, but they're just marvelous if you work with them right and then give them a.
And peer
chance.
educators. I mean, you said you were working with the children, and the children, were leading you through what you were doing. And I think it's been proven over time that peer educators, children, working with children, a young person is going to listen to another young person with a more open mind than to an adult necessarily, which is no disrespect to adults who have the information, but it's the source that's giving the information to the children. And if it comes from one of their peers, they're much more receptive to it, it seems. And
that's hard to get adults to realize.
Yeah.
Because they've been in charge and they've been given the message, and that was a tough thing that we had to work through.
Especially for children that don't have trust for adults.
Yeah.
They usually have trust for their friends at that age, and they don't have trust because that, whether or not they listen to you, it's how much you trust the person that's making that statement.
Right.
And that's that's still, even as adults today, and even in politics today, the trust level is the way you're going to lean, and which side you trust, and peer to peer, like you were saying. It has to do with that key trust.
Right.
I think I just found my 2 cents tomorrow.
Nice. You're welcome. The DARE program, which on paper and in theory is an excellent program for drug and alcohol education for the youth in schools today, but a lot of that becomes preachy because it's an adult or it's a police officer almost lecturing the children to a large degree.
Lecturing the children.
And it oftentimes not, unfortunately, will fall on deaf ears because they're not interested, they're not receptive, and it's the information is valid, it's the source that's providing the information, that may be the issue. So what you've done with the youth, working with the youth, tends to be so much more successful. So.
All right, we have about 6 minutes, so I want to bring us back to Celebrate America, which is taking place on Monday. And Colonel, I'm going to throw it to you to pitch it.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Wait, he wasn't a pitcher. He was an infielder.
Well, number one, everyone's invited, and we would certainly welcome all folks, whether you're a veteran or not, to attend and kind of get spun up a little bit on some of the history and some of the beautiful hymns that we have. The hymns are patriotic. That's where it all started. So, and of course, you can't beat the root beer floats. Nancy and I have been doing root beer floats and
Got
being
my order in with Publix. Get my root beer and ice cream.
There you go.
But
Pick it up tomorrow.
yeah, talented folks, as we've talked about, Carlos and Carolyn De Palma. They're absolutely wonderful. It's a great cast, and we just welcome everybody. Hope you take the opportunity to make it.
And do you sing each of the songs of
Yes, we
each of the
do.
military branches?
Yep.
Yeah, they do the medley.
Okay.
They do the medley.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. We'll do that Tuesday also at Veterans Day.
And if people haven't seen Trinity Episcopal Church, we are the first Protestant church in the state of Florida, 1821, and we are full of beautiful stained glass windows. We have a Tiffany window. Little fella from Charleston was sent down by a little group of men in Charleston to come down and start our church, and
It was 1821.
yeah, in 1821.
So that's when the U.S. actually took
Right.
over.
Yeah,
So we were still a territory until 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
And
But it
so
was-
in
right, United
1821
States.
is when Andrew Jackson, I believe, was our governor.
He was.
First
Yeah.
governor, for sure.
But he was only a governor for 8 months. He was only here twice. So
It's a big territory.
yeah, it was very spread out at that point.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you guys. We do have another group coming in tonight. We got land title coming in tonight. Blake, did you see anything in the comments that we need to ask the Birchalls before we let them escape?
I believe all the questions have been answered tonight, so we are good to go.
All right. Any other plugs? It's
Thank
our
you.
weekend.
Just wonderful. Yeah, this is the last night for Bollox this week.
Yeah.
And we're so appreciative of the invitation and the opportunity to kind of share.
Yeah, you guys are always welcome. You know my love for the Birchalls.
Yeah.
So you guys are always welcome in here.